Red Bull go after Sky F1. Sky F1 hasn't held back when it comes to Max Verstappen, and most recently one of the streaming service commentators made derogatory comments towards Max Verstappen. This is why the Austrian team hasn't held back when it comes to the comments made towards their two-time world champion. Verstappen and Red Bull decided to boycott Sky F1 during the Mexican GP, and it seems like they made a statement with this boycott, although they will continue to make statements from the next GP in Interlagos. So what happened with Sky's recent comment? Why were they derogatory toward Verstappen? And what does Red Bull plan to do regarding this matter? Ted Kravitz is the go-to guy when it comes to this atmosphere transpiring in the first place, and he started everything by calling Hamilton an 8-time world champion. Although Kravitz corrected himself immediately and called Hamilton a 7-time world champion, he then continued to talk about the 2021 season finale in Abu Dhabi and how that influences Hamilton's legacy. According to Kravitz, Hamilton was robbed out of his 8th championship in 2021, and the guy that he was robbed by was Max Verstappen. He then continued to talk about the 2022 championship and how Verstappen won it, saying that he always wins championships under strange circumstances. This didn't sit well with Red Bull, who decided that enough is enough and won't respond to these biased comments towards Verstappen. That is something Verstappen himself said, as he also added that the comments made about him have been constant throughout the year and have nothing to do with the Mexican GP's latest blunder. It had nothing to do with this weekend, but this year it's been a constant, kind of like being disrespectful every day, especially by one particular person, and it's enough. I don't accept it. You can't live in the past. You just have to move on. Social media is a very toxic place, and if you're constantly being like that live on TV, you make it worse instead of trying to make it better. You keep disrespecting me, and at one point, I'm not tolerating it anymore. That's why I decided to stop answering them. The public's opinion right now of Kravitz and Sky F1 is very low, and it goes without saying that the fans are mad about the comments. How can you walk down the pit lane and accuse someone of robbery of championships while knowing that this is one of the most sensitive topics in modern-day F1? On top of that, you are accusing a driver who has had the most wins in an F1 season and has been the sole competitor Hamilton has faced in 2021. With that being said, Kravitz's punishment should be much higher and should have been present in the first place. It's not that Kravitz won't be punished for his comments, but he has also received massive support from his colleagues. One of his colleagues works at Sky F1, and he is called Martin Brundle. Martin has been involved in a couple of controversies himself when it comes to his statements and personal opinion over other teams that are not driving for Mercedes. For the avoidance of doubt, my friend and colleague Ted Kravitz has my full support for the past 26 years. Face-to-face dialogue is the only way to sort out issues and settle disputes in the relentless crucible of the F1 paddock. We all have opinions and different jobs to do, that's life. Another commentator that supported Kravitz during this situation is Ploy, who is a commentator for Ziggo Sport. According to him, Kravitz was talking about a movie plot that would be the perfect one, but still one couldn't deny Kravitz's comments regarding the 2022 championship of Verstappen and how he said that the Dutchman wins championships under strange conditions. If you listen carefully to that interview, he's walking through the paddock and he says it would be a very nice script for a film, so cuts were made to that, so everyone only gets to hear that last bit where he tells us he was robbed, not Max, but the title. So Hamilton has been robbed. He doesn't even mention the whole name, Max Verstappen. He, Kravitz, sent a WhatsApp message to me saying, "At no point have I ever said what Christian Horner, Jos, Raymond or anybody else thinks I did and are apparently upset about." It is hugely amplified again by those in England. The English press has been bashing Red Bull and Max for a year now. I don't like that. It's a bit of a game, you know. The English are bashing Max and Red Bull, and he is now being put forward as a scapegoat. He isn't. I stick up for Ted. This is a very sensitive topic that Kravitz has started, and it seems like Red Bull won't let go of it that easily. According to Verstappen, Kravitz and Sky F1 are part of the problem and not the solution, and he cannot accept the fact that Sky F1 wouldn't respect him as the champion he is. Christian Horner believes that Kravitz's comments have nothing to do with freedom of speech, and it's one thing to be liberal, but a whole other thing to be arrogant and not recognize the greatness that Verstappen is currently showcasing on the track. Well, an accusation of championships being robbed is something that we don't feel is an impartial commentary. That is, we don't feel fair or balanced in any way. Max was very upset about it, and as a team we support him fully. We're equally upset about it. As a team, we took the decision this weekend, and I took the decision, that we'll have a weekend off. Red Bull are a cheap target sometimes. We were obviously disappointed with a series of derogatory comments that have been made on Sky, so we felt that this weekend we'd just take a break, and that it wouldn't do Sky any harm for us to take a break this weekend. There needs to be balance in the commentary. Some of the commentary is excellent, but in some of the pieces there's too much sensationalization. We stand together as a team. Next race, service will be resumed. We just wanted to lay down a marker and say certain things aren't acceptable, and as a team we stand together and we stand united as a team. Ted Kravitz was bashed by another F1 driver on the grid, and that is Lando Norris. While asking McLaren's driver a question, Kravitz wanted to know how Norris felt about the horrible start he had during the race. To this, Norris said that nothing is horrible about losing 2 positions on a track that is one of the longest deltas on the calendar. While Kravitz insisted that this is a horrible outcome for the McLaren's driver, Norris told him, "You should try driving, mate." Last year's finale was truly a controversial one, but that doesn't mean that Verstappen didn't deserve the championship. Imagine that a commentator out there makes a comment about Hamilton and his 2008 championship, saying that the only reason he won it is because Timo Glock let him pass in the final corners of the Interlagos GP without seeing the obvious fact, which is that Timo Glock was using dry compound tyres in a wet condition race. Verstappen was able to change his tyres under the safety car, and Hamilton didn't. When Hamilton asked on the radio whether or not Verstappen had entered the pits, and when the answer was affirmative, Hamilton immediately knew he was in danger. What is manipulative about the fact that you didn't change your tyres when you should have? We saw the same outcome in Silverstone for Leclerc and in Zandvoort for Hamilton. The stakes were incomparably higher in last year's finale, but that doesn't mean that this race should be treated differently. According to Horner, Red Bull are currently easy targets due to the fact that they have dominated the sport in the 2022 season. However, it doesn't go in their favour that they cheated on the budget cap in the 2021 season, and now they are on the receiving end of things. With that being said, it's evident that they are going to struggle a lot when it comes to overcoming all of the negative comments that are made about them. During the 2022 season, Red Bull was able to win the Drivers' Championship with 4 races to spare, while winning the Constructors' Championship with 3 races to spare. We were able to see some close battles between Verstappen and Hamilton in the last 2 GPs, both of which went in Verstappen's favour, and Sky F1 started making comments about Hamilton already catching up to Verstappen. The reality is that Mercedes is currently miles away from Red Bull's pace, and they need to do some hard work when it comes to returning back to the top of the grid. The fact that the team hasn't reacted to the negative comments made towards their competitors, while Perez has wagged his finger negatively towards the crowd in order for them to stop the booing aimed at Hamilton, says enough about how they feel about this matter. What do you think about Verstappen and Red Bull's boycott of Sky F1? Let us know in the comments below.